No clue how this is gonna go. We're live. I don't know how to find this on YouTube.
What is that? What is that?
What's that? We're also
I thought
live.
this was gonna be a dip that I was gonna bring, but I didn't. So.
You gonna bring it?
No, I was gonna go to Costco, but then I had to go home. You know, make it to the toilet. So I didn't make it to Costco. The street corn dip, lit.
I think that we like the other day and I went like,
Sorry folks, we're a little live right now.
okay, and chicken dip.
If you go to Costco, it looks like a container. Like,
There's like caregiver I was actually gonna go to like, when they, the trays.
yeah, it's like that.
Which one?
They have a street corn dip at Costco. It's
Oh, yeah,
very
yeah.
good.
This one's really good at heating up too.
When you see when I did that one meal, and I was like, okay,
Right.
No, I guess I was excited. Big family. In your chat, just have them look up on YouTube.
I just went on YouTube myself.
Yeah, we just showed you 3 minutes. Should have clicked that our stream should start at noon.
Yeah.
You don't want to do the camera?
No.
You want some oranges?
Yeah.
Have some oranges, start getting some chips and dip and stuff. Spoon broke. Guess we can leave this closed right now.
There you go.
You people can see us. Preview, talking about us. Looking at us.
How was Rocky last night?
Good.
Those sores still bad?
Yeah. I have realized something really bad when I go there. I hate cornstarch so much.
Do they use that?
Yeah.
What?
I don't like it.
On this for batter?
It's just cornstarch.
It's supposed to have like a taco batter.
I'm pretty sure it's just cornstarch. Somebody told me before it's just cornstarch. Maybe they were wrong. But
Interesting.
it like gives me the disease. Like thinking about it,
Fair.
I hate it.
I felt bad.
The sensory
I was trying to help her as much as I could, But I was like, I'm trying, Laura.
No,
I'm
you're
sure you
good.
did a great job. He's hard, we have 2 people there for a reason. But he is such a nice guy.
Did you go there the other night? Are the seams like on this side right here? Are those sores or
On the side of this
the
scroll.
box?
they're like just,
I didn't know like if they were sores or how to describe them.
they have that, I don't know if you saw anymore, that yellow tube stuff. It's like a pink cream,
Yeah, it's been,
apply that in paint.
yeah, I did that. But, I didn't know like what they were necessarily, what form. I just figured they were sores.
Yeah.
They kind of weirded me out, like how my fingers.
Baby girl. Ay, 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 ay. Oh,
My
baby,
eye
she's
is
one.
exactly sore.
I was telling her when Laura got her
And I was
thing, I
like,
had to like find her for my phone.
Please no.
She's like,
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, so does my 2-year-old. Every morning, it could be 3 a.m. and she's awake and she's like, Cocoa melon?
That's funny.
And it's true.
I wake a cocoa melon. I'm like, no, go to bed.
When I worked at the Montessori school and we would have circle time, sometimes we'd do a Coco Melon song at circle time. And the kids would, when they heard the intro.
They love the cocoa melon. For better or worse,
I haven't tried that Jack's salsa yet.
it's good.
Yeah.
This one?
Yeah.
Oh, the Jack one?
No, I like it too. If you heat that one up, it's really good.
This one?
Mhm.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. I'm glad you ate
Are there more people coming?
I know Lizzie's coming. It's hard right now because there's a ton of people on shift right now.
Mm.
And then a lot of our staff is far, so they'll just do it. But
I don't really know.
Yeah.
it'll be a surprise. And you know, there's always that group that is supposed to and doesn't.
Yeah.
Oh, somebody's there. Is that you, Devin?
I mean,
How do you make it feel? They can hear us. Can we hear us? Who is it? Hi, Sarah.
I don't know. I asked them to put in the chat who they are when they get here.
Oh, we can't see it?
Those are live, all they can see is us.
Oh,
Okay.
it's Connor.
Hi,
Hey,
Connor.
Connor.
Can you hear us? Let us know in the chat if you can hear us, Connor. Because this is the first time we've done this, and I have no clue how it's gonna work. Thank you.
How are you, Connor? This feels weird to you.
A little weird, right?
Talking to a screen. But hey, how are you?
Do you guys want to go ahead and find it in?
Caitlin's here, doing well. Got to see a lot of worms today.
Worms?
Interesting.
Oh, because of the rain? That means it's warming up. That's kind of exciting.
Mhm. I have to leave a few minutes early to get the jam. She wasn't too happy that I was scheduled from 1:15.
It was just where Ashley was.
I know.
Alright, let's see where the other two are.
We'll get started here shortly.
There are drinks back here too.
Oh, nice. I never had those. The zero cow. Let's take it now. I didn't know that was yours.
You want one, Liz?
Oh,
We got
sure.
blackberries. Orange. I'll take the blackberries. You ready?
Because we get started.
I still
We're
am
gonna start with
seeing.
you first, right?
Sure.
come on out, grab a plate. Hey guys, we're gonna get started. It looks like only 2 of you have joined. I have no clue who else is supposed to be joining through the live video. If you can't hear us, please put in the comments that you can't hear us or whatever might be going on if something happens. This is the first time we're doing this, and we have no clue how it's gonna work, okay? We're gonna start off with some updates from Kenzie first of all, okay?
Hello. Well, first. All right, first we're just gonna do a couple of reminders about our on-call phone. The office hours are generally 9 to 5, so anytime after that, please make sure you're still calling. But it will go to the call center, which is partly why we wanted to talk about it. The call center should never, ever, ever ask you to hold to transfer. So if they do, just tell them that you'll wait for a call back and just hang up so that you're not waiting and they're not charging us 4 times if we're not going to transfer anyway. And then we will call you back as soon as we get the message. So please just help us with that. We also wanted to define what emergency was, because those would be the appropriate times to call on the off hours. So Caitlin and Connor, you can type in as well, but what would define an emergency? Client dies, yeah. Be a big emergency. Fair. What are other ideas? Would be a reason to call after hours.
Just a car crash.
Car crash?
My mind is going to the worst possible place.
That's okay. Those are real things, right? You'd have to do it. There's one of you is injured, whether it be a client or the caregiver, family emergency, a medical emergency. There are quite a few things that could define it. Oh, can't really hear me? Sorry, Caitlin. Thank you. I'll come up here too. Probably didn't help.
Is that better?
So far back. Maybe better. Let me know if it's not better. But hopefully this is a little bit better. So, and then if they don't answer, just don't be shy. Is this better, Kate? Oh, wasn't even plugged in? Now we should go. Okay. A reminder, if the client is not there, please notify us on those situations. But if you've waited for 15 minutes, you're free to leave, and maybe you will still get paid.
And clock out,
Mm-hmm.
or just not even.
Yeah, clock in still so that we can show the client too. If there's ever any questions, no, they did clock in, we did wait. Yeah, yeah, so that we have that document that just protects you guys. But if they're there for the scheduled time, please don't feel like you have to stick around for anything to do.
Unless we know otherwise, right? Unless we know the client's like running late or something.
Right.
We've been able to get a hold of them.
And then text messages, please don't do that unless, because we're not guaranteed that we're gonna be able to see it. So don't text the on-call phone unless you're currently communicating in that moment with whoever has the on-call phone, if that makes sense. But any random time, one, that's not the appropriate way to call off, and 2, we cannot promise we'll see it. So we need you to call the office. Even though you all have the on-call phone number, we still need the process because that saves us from filtering things that aren't good.
Since the mic wasn't on, can we go back over what includes an emergency to call?
Oh yeah, an emergency would be something that happened to you, a car wreck, a family emergency, something that happened to the client, some sort of injury, anything along those lines. If it's something that you're just kind of curious about, that's a good time to do a slipped off message and leave it for Monday or the following day. And then just as a reminder that you cannot text message slip offs to call. That will count as a no call, no show. But please use those groups. Caitlin, you've been doing great at using those groups to try to find coverage. Please continue to do those things. And as group members within it, if you could respond as well, even if you can't, so that they know they're being heard, it would be great. I think. Right, I'm trying to read your handwriting. I think that is it as far as I know. Is there any questions any of you have as far as the on-call phone? Okay. Just a reminder, like this is like whether it be Casey or Minnie or Lindsay or Kylie on the on-call phone. We don't want to be on all day long, so please just be mindful of that. We want to help you. We're there for you. We love you all, but we also don't want it to have to be raining all day long, so
Or-
just use
or
your
in the morning.
discretion. Okay, anyway, so today we are talking about incidents, and Devin and Casey will be really teaching that, so love you all. There you go.
Want me to come first?
Okay, so does anyone have any idea what causes common falls in the elderly?
Like things blocking their walkway.
Correct. So like, having clutter all over the floor, the walkways, them not wearing, safe or supportive, non-slip shoes could be another reason. Some medications that they're on could cause them to be dizzy or to have a not good balance. So those are all good reasons. Eyesight, poor hearing, those could all be factors in a client falling. Same with medical conditions like diabetes, heart disease, nerve or feet pain, blood vessel, all different kinds of things could be a risk. Even clients that have dementia are at a higher risk. And does anyone know why they're at a higher risk for falls? It's because dementia messes with your,
Kaylin, are you on your cell phone? If you're on your cell phone, you might need to put in some earbuds. If you're on a laptop, usually it works better. I don't know why that is, but it's the same thing with like Zoom and Google Meet when I get on those. So if you have some headphones, try that.
the reason why clients with dementia will have a higher risk for falls is because dementia messes with all of their senses. So it can affect their sight, their hearing, their vision. Well, I already said that. Their vision, their hearing, their sense of smell, everything is affected with dementia. So that's why they're at a higher risk for falls. Anyone know where the most falls in the elderly occur?
In their room?
In their Yep, in their bathroom and in their house. 60% of falls happen inside the client's homes. 30% of falls happen outside of the homes, and 10% happen in healthcare centers and hospitals. So, let's see. Then the number one risk for falls is age. Age is always a key factor for falls. Older people have a higher risk of death and serious injury from falls. So the elderly, their bones are more brittle. They have less padding. They get injured and it's harder for them to recover from that. So if they break a hip, their mobility will most likely never be the same after that. So, and then not only that, they're more scared of more falls once they have had a fall. So the fear of falling again will cause them to possibly fall again. Any questions on any of that?
Am I taking over now?
Yeah, you can do the,
All right. Well, how many of you have ever fallen, first of all? You're young. Did it hurt?
Yeah.
Okay, just like Casey said, imagine now that you're 60 years older, you haven't been as active as you normally are, or as you are right now. Like she said, your bones are brittle, you may have osteoporosis. Osteoporosis basically is you have holes in your bone because it's falling apart. You're not getting enough calcium, you're not creating enough red blood cells and everything to replenish the ones that are already there. And so your bones start to deteriorate. It makes it easier to break, right? It's just like the plastic forks when you go to when you go to eat at a restaurant, you get like a really flimsy plastic fork and you push down on it, one of the things breaks off. That's kind of how old people's bones are too. They can break off really easily. And so we just need to be aware of that with our clients. They can also break sometimes even when we're trying to lift them and help them stand up. So we need to talk about what to do in the event of a fall. Like if you walk into a client's home and they are on the ground, we need to know what to do. So Laura, what do we do if we walk in and the client's on the ground? What's the first thing we should do?
Well, make sure they're okay.
Yep.
Um,
You want to talk to them?
Call them, make sure they're conscious.
Yep.
Make sure to see if there's like any visible wounds that need to be taken care of. Depending on the fall, I'd probably call the office or 911.
Perfect. Yeah, so the first thing you want to do if you walk into a client's house and they are on the ground and you did not witness the fall, you want to make sure they're okay. You want to make sure they're conscious. Go up and don't shake them hard. We're not trying to do CPR, but we do need to kind of shake them a little bit and say, hey, are you okay? Whatever their name may be, maybe Casey. Casey, are you okay? Are you awake? Are you alert? If they are awake and alert, you want to ask them, do you remember falling? Because you want to see if they either blacked out or what happened in that time that they may have been
Hopefully
down.
they're not talking to you if they're not awake.
Yeah, if they're not awake, then there's something else going on. But if they're awake and you can ask them, hey, do you remember falling? Are you injured? Where's the pain? We don't want to stand them up immediately because what can happen is if we stand up an older person immediately, we might injure them even worse. So if they fell and maybe they fractured their hip and we try to help them stand up and they put pressure on it, now they're going to have a broken hip instead of just a fractured hip. We got to leave that to the doctors to decide on what they're going to do with that, right? But when in doubt, we can always call 911. 911 can come and do an assessment, help us out with that. We don't have to stand them up. If a client cannot stand up on their own or with minimal assist, and by minimal, I mean like you give them a hand and they just kind of pull and stand up, then we don't want to help them stand up, right? We want to call 911, have a paramedic come out and do an assessment on them. That doesn't charge the patient. That doesn't charge our client. They only get charged if they get in the ambulance and have to go to the hospital, which most of the time paramedics will say, hey, let's go to the hospital. So that's something you want to do, okay? Make sure they're alert. Check them for injuries if they're bleeding. Ask them where their pain is. If they're saying, oh, my right hip is really hurting right now, don't move them. If they're saying my shoulder is really hurting right now, don't pull on it, right? Don't move them. And let's get the paramedics there. Call the office. We want you to call the office because we need to notify the family that the client has fallen. We always have to notify when there's a fall. So make sure you do that as well. If you're in doubt and it's like the patient's talking to you and they're like, oh, I feel okay, you're okay to call the office. They'll direct you to me, or maybe someone in the office can help you kind of assess the situation and figure out what's going on and what we need to do from there, okay? But when in doubt, we can always call 911 and have a paramedic team come out and check them, okay? That's not gonna hurt us. It's not gonna hurt the family. It's just gonna help. After that, after we've either decided we need to call 911 and we've called the office, we've called the family, we need to fill out what's called an incident report. How many of you have filled out an incident report before? Only two. At other jobs, that's okay. Yeah, so we have an incident report. At the end of your shift, when you sign out, it asks if there was an incident during your shift. If there was, of course, you're gonna hit yes, and then you're gonna give a brief description of the incident. You'll probably hear from either myself or someone in the office probably Kenzie, within a couple days of that. Sometimes we don't see them if they're over the weekend, but when we come back on Monday, we always check them. You'll probably get a phone call from one of us to get a little bit more information about what happened, if you witnessed the fall, just so we can get more information to let the family know. And then we're also going to be communicating with the family on how we should resolve this. What we want to know is, was this preventable if maybe we were there more hours of the day? Maybe if they needed more help, maybe if they needed us to meal prep for them a couple more hours a week, we can let the family know this kind of information, and that way we can help the client better. So those are some things we're trying to assess when we do the incident reports, right? We also want to assess basically how we can prevent this in the future. We can't prevent falls 100%, right? Because we're not with every single one of our clients 24/7, so we can't always prevent falls. In the case of you being with a client and they're about to fall, I don't want you to stop them from falling. I want you to assist them to fall. We've talked about this hopefully in orientations and before, but if a client is going to fall, you're not going to catch them. You're not going to try to save them. You're not going to, because then you're going to hurt yourself. What I need you to do is wrap your arms around them and just go to the ground with them slowly. Whether that's if you're in a hall, which typically is probably one of the cases where you'll be, in the hall or in the bathroom, there's always a wall close by, lean towards the wall and slide down it, okay? We've all done that before as kids. We've done wall sits before, hopefully, maybe some of you have. But that's what you want to do. You don't want to try to prevent them from falling. Now, if they're stumbling and they've got an arm on the wall, yeah, straighten them back out. That's okay. I don't want you to push them over or go down with them. There's no sense in that. If they have a decent sense of balance, but if you can tell that they're about to fall, like legit go down, please help them to the floor. Let's try to prevent injuries. If you can't get to them in time, try to throw a pillow under them, I guess. I don't know.
Remain calm during all of it too. That's a big thing. The clients are already scared and everything too, so just try to be calm so that you're able to support them better.
Correct. Just following within what we learned during SOR training.
No, that's a good question, Caitlin. You could use some of those techniques within it, but that's more for a hold in a behavior situation. But that same concept would be a safe way to go down. So, yeah, you just would do the hold at the end.
You'll pin them down.
So the clients that have binders at their house, they have the instant report for in their binder. You fill out both that and
No, ideally, it's also a good question. Ideally, do it through the app. That's for if the app's not working. Or maybe you clocked out and then you started to go, then the incident happened, and then you don't have access to the incident.
or just take that to the office.
Laura asked if the clients that have binders in the home, if we're supposed to fill out the paper incident report and the electronic incident report. We prefer you fill out the electronic incident report. But if your SwiftOps isn't working, then get a paper report. If you don't have a paper report, call the office and we can actually create one in SwiftOps for that shift or for that client.
And
So-
all important client information will be in the client binder somewhere in the home there. If you don't see a client binder, like make sure you know where they're at. And if you can't never locate one, let the office know. We've had a lot of new clients lately. We're trying our best to get those binders out. We just might have missed someone here or there. So if you don't see one at their house, let us know so we can get one there.
But if there is no binder, good segue. If there is no binder, please go to the care plan. We don't have, because we're going to do this here in the office, but we don't have a way to show you or screen share. In the care plan, I don't think we can screen share. In the care plan, I don't know if I have one. Let me just double check. I might. Because I have an assessment I have to do on the client. I don't. In the care plan, you'll see two different tops. So when you clock into your client shift, it's going to go to the task list. At the top of the task list, there's a group tab and a timeline tab. I need you all to go to the group tab. That's the one that you need to see all of the input, all of my information that I get from the client that they need, they want at the house. That's our care plan. I need you to read over that information. What you'll find there is the very first section. I have to change it on some of the clients, but most of our new clients and most of our clients now have it updated where I have a whole section of just basically my RN assessment, what I've learned during my assessment. It's a little brief description about the client. It'll say like, hey, this is Casey. She's a 28-year-old female that needs our help with showering and toileting. She broke her leg, whatever the case may be, right? She has osteoporosis. She has dementia. I'm going to give a little bit of background. I'm going to go through and there's basically like a bullet point list of, okay, what are their allergies? Are they a falls risk? What's their mobility? What's that? There's also the very first section. So it goes RN assessment. I should pull it up so I can read it to you. Give me 2 seconds. I should have had this pulled up if I was a better person. Casey's gonna dance for you while I pull this up.
I have a question.
Yep.
So sometimes it's hard to keep track of like, okay, what client is DNR, what you whatnot, right? If you're at a client's house and an emergency happens, like what, and like I don't have time to like pull up my phone and be like, DNR or not. Like, what, do you want us to like try and resuscitate or?
I want you to look and see if they're DNR first. They should also have
Yeah.
a, so
That's
the
like
question
my worst
was,
idea.
the question was, what do we do if, we don't feel like we have time to look to see if the client's DNR? What do we do in emergency situations if you pull up? So I'm guessing your emergency situation would be if you show up to a house and the client is not breathing and doesn't have a pulse. If you show up to a house and a client is not breathing and does not have a pulse, we need to do CPR courses, but the way to check for breathing, of course, is listen and look at their chest to see if it's rising. If it's like consistent rising, like we normally breathe during the day, 12 to 20 breaths per minute, that's a normal breathing. To feel for a pulse on someone that's unconscious, you're gonna check for a carotid pulse, okay? This is gonna be your strongest pulse right here is on the carotid. So what you do for that is you find the trachea and you slide over into the groove right there, and that's where you feel a pulse. You don't really want to do that every time they do it in the movies. I laugh because people that are like after a run, they're like, oh, what's my pulse? And they look at their watch. Typically, you don't want to do that because this is such a big vessel that you can actually cut off the circulation and make yourself pass out if you just worked out. So don't do that when you're working out.
Laura, it would probably be a good habit too, because when you clock in, most of them will say as a headline by their name, because those are
True.
if they're a DNR. So I would maybe have a habit of checking that right as you clock in, so then you
Yeah.
don't have to repeat it later.
So what to do in case of emergency, you walk in. Number one, to answer your question, like Kenzie just said, hopefully you already read the care plan and have a background on it. But it should be in the headline. If a client is DNR, it should be in their headline right as you're clocking in. It should say this is a DNR client. I will always put where their DNR paperwork is from or where it's located in the house. Typically, I always tell the clients when I go visit them, their DNR information has to be on the fridge somewhere, whether it's on the front of the fridge or the side of the fridge. We'll have that information on there so you guys know, okay? It'll also be in the care plan. If they're not DNR, DNI, I will put not DNR, DNI, call 911 for medical emergencies in the care plan. So this is why the care plans are so important. Some of our clients don't have binders. We haven't had a lot of time to get binders out there. Oh, perfect. We haven't had a lot of time to get binders out there. And so that's why I need you guys to read the care plans. If a care plan is out of date, like if we're not doing certain things for a family, for a client, please let me know. I know Laura's let me know about a couple different clients and I haven't changed it, but there are also some things I can't change because the care plan is kind of the legally binding contract we have with the clients. Technically, we're not supposed to do anything that is not in the care plan. So we've all had clients that are like, oh, can you do this one more thing for me? And we're like, no, because it's not in the care plan. Legally, we're okay if we say that. So there are certain things that we're not supposed to do if it's not in the care plan. So I try to make the care plan specific. So please read through the notes. So here's what you're going to see. This is kind of blurry. I got to hold it up to the camera. But this is what you see when you clock in, okay? You have the task. It'll say task down here, and then it'll say like profile of the client, task, and mileage, and all that other stuff down here. At the top of this, see how it says grouped and timeline? Yes, timeline. You need to go to the group section. It's a little tab, click on it. What you'll find in here is you'll find the same things. It'll probably say, this one doesn't say it, but it'll say RN nurse assessment. And in here, it'll say nurse assessment, DNR, DNI, hospice, mobility, falls risk. I have so many different bullet points in there. I can't remember them all. I go over the neuro, which is like their neuro assessment. Are they dementia? I talk about their skin. I talk about their bowel and bladder, which is under GIGU. If you ever see GIGU, it's because I forgot to put bowel and bladder. I try to be more proficient in that, but GIGU basically means do they poop, do they pee, and how do they do it? So you'll see notes in there about that. If they have and then if they have like a Foley catheter or something, I will put notes down further in the care plan under Foley catheter where I'll say, hey, this person has a bucket that his Foley sits in. When you empty it, just empty it into the bucket. Use the bucket to drain it in the toilet. Make sure you rinse out the bucket in the tub, into the toilet again, and then put the Foley back in the bucket. So I'm trying to be more specific with things. I'm trying to let you guys know, hey, I'm trying to walk you guys through this basically as if this was your first time going into the home every time. So if there are questions, please look to the care plan first. Everything should be in there. I know there's some care plans I need to go up and update. So if you go to a client's house, and they're probably some of our older clients that we've had for more than just a year, Their care plans are gonna be a little outdated, and I need to go back over, it just takes time. So are there any questions about care plans? Did we miss anything? Let me check my notes. So purpose of a care plan is to let us know what we're doing for the client. You're gonna find the brief description in the upper part that talks about their assessment, and then go through the rest of the care plan, because some of our clients, we don't clean for because the family goes over and cleans, so I'm not gonna put that in there. I actually am going through and deleting some of those now because they don't need it. Other clients, I'm gonna pull up my care plan just so you can see it. This is what you'll see. Can you guys see this? I'm sorry, it's backwards. RN assessment, how to enter the home, DNR, DNI, hospice, the hospice RN number if they are on hospice, emergency contacts if there's more than one that we actually need to have, mobility falls, allergies, neuro, that just means, are they alert oriented? Do they have dementia? Sorry, am I not holding it right? Skin, GIGU, that's the bowel and bladder, nutritional info, if they have pets, if they have any spiritual or cultural beliefs, if they have any language issues, or speaking different languages, things the agency is assisting with. By agency, that's us, and then specific skill needs. The rest of the care plan goes through, and if there's something that is, I can only fit so much in that first upper part, so I'm just trying to basically give you like a brief background. This is like if you were working in a hospital as a CNA, this is basically what a nurse to caregiver or CNA report would be. Hey, this is our patient, Casey. She's a 28-year-old female. She's here because she has bowel incontinence. That's what we're helping her with. We're helping change briefs. And so you'll find that information. Neuro, yeah, she's alert and oriented. Skin, she does have some skin issues on the bottom. If you want to see more information about that, go down to probably like brief changes. You'll probably find more information down there. Nutritional info. If it's nutritional info, you'll see under nutritional info, I'll basically probably just say, hey, they're on a diabetic diet, or they're on a heart diet, a cardiac diet. If you have questions about those, I'm happy to answer those. I can probably type up a paper that talks about that a little bit more. Pets, I usually try to put the name of the pets in there in case you want to talk to them. They'll probably tell you anyways. Spiritual and cultural beliefs. This one I put in there because one, we don't talk about religion, but we also want to be respectful of somebody's religion. If we're taking care of someone that prays every Saturday morning and we're there every Saturday morning with them, we just want to be aware of that so that we can give them their space and their time to do that. If it's someone that gets offended by maybe saying certain words, we don't want to say those certain words for the time that we're in their home because that's offensive to them. I don't even care if the word is pineapple. We don't want to use the word pineapple in their home, okay? And I will try to put specific things like that. But it's not because I'm trying to get you guys to be religious or anything. It's because we want to respect our clients. Respect is going to go both ways. If we're respecting them, they're going to respect us more, okay? Language, we have some clients that are nonverbal, and so they can't answer us yes or no. So some of them have to answer with a hand mark. Like you put out your hand and they'll say, they'll tap your right hand for yes, or they'll tap your left hand for no. If you ask them, hey, do you want to go swimming? Yes or no. Other clients, maybe they're a little more difficult to understand. So I will put that in there under, hey, they're more difficult to understand because they have myotonic dysplasia or muscular dystrophy. And so their muscles don't work that well. And I'll try to explain that to you guys. So basically what I'm getting at is please read the care plans. They're very important. They have all the information you need. If they are DNI, it will be in there. If they're on hospice, I'm gonna put, hey, this client is on hospice with active hospice. The RN name is Jessica. Her phone number is this. If the client passes while we're there and they're on hospice, you're not gonna call the office first. You're gonna call the hospice nurse first. We're not gonna call 911. We're gonna call the hospice nurse first. Then we'll call the office. There's different things that happen, and I try to put all that information in there just so you guys know. I'm trying to make it so we're not walking in blindly, trying to make it so that we're not like, what do I do here? If you have a family member that calls and says, hey, do you know what to do for my dad? Yes, you do. It's in the care plan, and just say that. Yeah, I have the care plan. It's on my phone. Your dad's okay. I will take care of him. Hey, do you know my mom needs eye drops? Yes, I do actually. It's in our care plan. So you're good. How do those eye drops get administered? Go under the medication section of meds. And if it's just eye drops, I'm gonna put in there, hey, eye drops, apply 1 drop to the right eye, 2 drops to the left eye. Have the patient lean their head back and do it from the inside out. So I'm trying to be more specific. If there are some things that are not that specific and you feel like you need more training or education on, please let me know. I can always go in and adjust care plans to an extent. Do you guys have any questions about that? Sorry, Connor, you couldn't see the care plan that well. It's kind of blurry. We did our best. We'll try to send you out a, maybe an email of the paper, just so you can see a picture of it. Okay, we had one more thing to talk about. We talked about incidents, when to fill out also an incident report, just going back to that. An incident report is not, I clocked in 5 minutes late. I've had those sent to me before as an incident report. I'm sorry, it's not an incident report. That's more of a call to the office and just saying, hey, sorry, I clocked out 5 minutes late. Or just put that in your narrative at the end of your shift.
There's different types of incidents too. Like if you have a dementia client that keeps trying to elope away from the house, that would be an incident. That would be something we need to know about.
Yep.
If your client cut their elbow on the way out of the bathtub, that would be an incident we would need to know about. So not all incidences are just falls. There's other things that fall into that category.
Yeah, so some of the incidents, nature of the incident that we're gonna ask about, if there was a fall, of course. Medication incident, if you show up and your client has taken his or hers whole row of AM pills for the week and it's only Monday, and you see that the whole box is empty, that would be an incident, right? Those are things that we need to check and that we should be checking. And I'll usually have that in the care plan. Please check the AM, PM box to make sure the client is taking their medications at the appropriate time and the appropriate medications. But if you walked in and saw that and saw, holy crap, Monday through Friday is already taken, that should be a call to the office. That should be an incident report so we can call the family and at least get it figured out like, hey, did you refill the box or did your mom and dad already take all the medications? Because a lot of our clients are on heart medications that are blood pressure, that lower the blood pressure. So if they took 7 days worth of blood pressure medications, they're gonna need to go to the hospital. So we need to know about these things. Client endangerment, that's another thing that we report on. If the client's endangered, if you're starting to notice like some symmetrical bruising on them, like it looks like hand marks or slap marks on their face, those are things we wanna know. This is abuse, right? We wanna make sure the client's being safe. Client endangerment can also fall under the neglect, exploitation, all those things we learned about in orientation.
Can I ask a quick question on that?
Yeah.
With the incident report, who sees that? So does the patient's family see the incident report? I'm just curious, because maybe it's an instance where it is regarding the patient's family that you need to. Good question.
Family can't see it.
Family can't see it.
Family, I don't believe can see it. Let me just double check so I can give you the actual answer on that.
Okay.
The question was, can family see the incident report? And the answer is going to be, I don't know yet because I have to look it up.
The incident could also be you getting hurt at the client's house.
Yeah.
It could also be you being abused at the client's house as well. So those are all different types of incidences.
Basically, if it's concerning.
So I'm trying to, who has a family portal access? Who finds those?
I can go look. You can.
Okay, we'll keep going. All right, so when we go over incidences, if you forget to fill one out after a shift, you're gonna get a call from the office. We're gonna ask you what date it was, who it received by. We're gonna go through all this information. Person involved, who was involved, the client or the caregiver or someone else. Location of the incident, bedroom, bathroom, dining room, hallway, kitchen, outside, public, parking lot, unknown, agency. And then we'll ask about the nature of the incident. Was it a fall, a medication error, client endangerment? Is it infection? If you start to see like, some of our clients start to get like red spots on their hips or their hands or their elbows. And after a couple days, you see that it's starting to get worse and it's starting to develop, like the skin's starting to get eaten away at. Those are things you want to report, right? That would be like an infection that we want to know about. A lot of our clients, their families don't see them every day. They may say they see them every day, but let's be honest, they don't. Unless they live with them. Aggressive behavior. That can go under someone's aggressive behavior towards your client, which can put them in danger, or a client being aggressive to you. Now, I want you all to be safe. I don't want you getting hurt. So maybe we'll talk a little bit about this real quick. Ways to keep yourself safe. When I was at the University of Utah, we had to go through a class called BERT training. What BERT training was is basically how to keep yourself safe. If you can tell that your client's kind of getting escalated in their anger, what I don't want you to do is I don't want you to put your back to them ever. I want you to stay facing them. I don't want you to fold your arms because then that makes you look like you're grumpy. I just want you to keep your hands by your side, try to be calm as possible, and never put your back towards them. Also, never let them get in the way of you and an exit, okay? That's a very important thing. In the hospital, there's only one exit out of a hospital's patient's room, which is the door, right? If I'm so you have a door here and then the patient's bed, and then I usually went on the other side because that's where my pumps would be. If I was on the side with my pumps, who's in front of me? If they're getting escalated, the patient would have been in front of me, and my way to get out the door is now cut off. So typically what we were trained to do is bring our pumps on the one side. You guys don't have to worry about the IV pumps. But typically what we were trained to do is have our pumps on the other side so that if the patient or client was getting escalated or was getting angry with us, where's the door? Now it's right behind me. Where's the patient? In front of me. They're not going to get in between me and an exit. So remember that, okay? If you ever feel like a client's getting angry at you, number one, you don't need to raise your voice. Just keep calm. There's no reason to two people yelling because then that goes nowhere. So keep calm. And if you have to, say that Laura's, come on this way just a little bit, Laura.
It's only
A
one
little
per person.
little more. I gotta see you. Okay. Now you can see Laura a little bit. Sorry, the camera's down. But if Laura was my client and she's getting mad at me and the door's over that way, what I'm going to start to do is I'm going to start to pivot to the side. What is she automatically going to do? Probably going to pivot opposite of me, right? That's going to make it so that I can get to a door. So if your client is between you and a door, all you have to do is just, hey, I'm sorry, let's figure this out. I'm just going to start pivoting. And you know what? Let's take 10 minutes away from each other, 10 seconds away from each other, whatever it takes. I'm going to go get some water. You take a drink. I'll be right back. And just start pivoting your way towards the exit. Naturally.
Clients' families cannot see it.
And clients' families cannot see insert reports.
Okay, that's good. I mean, just because sometimes it's.
Right, and that's okay. Yeah, because sometimes we do have to say, hey, you know what? Client's daughter was slapping him around today.
They're not putting any food in the fridge.
Or they're not putting food in the fridge, or the food in the fridge is expired, and we've left multiple notes to say, hey, please get us some good food in the fridge so we can feed them.
Can we just take note that those are important incidences too, because if we have to report it, we have the data.
Right. Yeah, that's the important part about the incidences is we are required by state law to report to APS if one of our clients is being abused, neglected, exploited. Kind of like we talked about again in orientation. If you guys have any questions about what those mean, neglect, exploitation, what are the other ones? Abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse. Please ask us. We're happy to go over that training again, just so you guys know. If there was. So those are different types that we need to report, and also report to APS if there's an issue going on. Excuse me. Other types of incident reports could be transportation. If you're injured on the way to like a doctor's appointment, if you guys got in a car wreck, if there was an equipment malfunction, say we have a client with a Hoyer lift and the Hoyer lift breaks or the sling breaks, that would be an incident report so that we can report to either Medicaid or someone else that needs to hear about it, the family. If the property was damaged, say someone threw a rock through the window while you were at the house, that would be an incident report. The thing that we'd have to do with these kind of incident reports is with the property damage, we'd probably have to report that to the police. And so when we have documentation, they have documentation so that they can at least have eyes on that. Privacy breach, HIPAA, and staff endangerment. Okay? So if there's any questions, ask now. More questions? We're all good with that? Sorry, we've gone over a lot of information today. So we went over falls, the importance of falls, and how to prevent a fall. We're not really fall prevention, right? We're just fall management. And then we went over the care plans. Please read the care plans. Before you go in. You can see, I think we made it so they can see care plans before they go to a client's house. So you should be able to see the care plan before you go in. And if you look over it, and you still have questions, that's when I'm happy to answer a question. If you call me and say, what am I doing at this house? And I go and look and they have a care plan, I am not gonna answer your question, just so you know that right now. Until you read over the care plan. Because most everything, I'm trying to get better, and I can't get better at doing care plans if I get questions and there's already a care plan. Because in my mind, and what I think as a nurse, I'm thinking, I did this care plan perfectly. And so if it's not perfect and you guys didn't read it, I don't know what to improve on. I don't know how to make the care plans better. But if you read the care plan and you're like, you know what, I don't understand about this medication or about the Foley catheter, can you explain this better in this care plan? Great, I will go back in and I will try to do better to explain the care plan in that sense. That is the only way that I can get better. It's the only way we can get better as a team, okay?
And you said the number for the hospice, is that the numbers like way at the bottom, like?
So when you see a care plan, sorry, so going back to a question about hospice numbers. So when you see a care plan, if they are on hospice, I will typically write under that first section. Are you looking at the care plan right now?
I was
She doesn't
trying,
have
but-
any on her, she was looking at the open schedule. for
So the open
Jana.
schedule doesn't show you all of those
Yeah.
details.
Oh.
So
Yeah.
Laura could show you on hers what
For
you already
Jana,
decided.
This is like the phone number you would call if you couldn't get into her house. or
Yeah.
something. It's probably her phone number or her daughter's or something.
Oh, okay.
Good question though.
Yeah,
And
the
then-
question, oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just gonna go back to the client binder, so I wouldn't wait until there was an incident to try to search for the binder. So when you're at the client's home, just try to locate it so you know where it's at, or in the event of an incident, you can get to it quickly.
Well, my day was a perfect example of a complete disaster.
Yeah.
My phone died. Please bring your chargers with you.
Charge phone.
I thought I had charged my phone. I had it. My phone died. And not only did my phone die, I couldn't find the care plan. And my sweet patient, I came in and there was blood everywhere and she was on the floor in the bathroom. So that was a very character building day. Trying to get that all figured out, but we made it happen. She's great. But charge your phones. That was my huge.
Charge your
I was
phone,
using her phone.
know where your client's binders are, and.
Have your
um,
badges on you in a moment like that, so you know our number.
Yep, our phone number is on the back of your badges if you're ever in the need for our phone number. And then, try to make sure you always have an extra pair of gloves with you.
Oh,
Because
that
you
was the
never
other
know
thing.
when you're gonna need to clean up a blood mess.
Yeah, that was the other thing, yeah. They had gloves nowhere to be seen, and my gloves were in the car, so I was gonna mention, keep one pair in your pocket, really, just one pair.
Okay.
Good to know.
Connor, who else is here now? We have 3 people watching.
Brenda.
Oh, Brenda, okay. Do you guys have any questions about any of the stuff we've talked about? We'll we can email this out, right? You have this?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll email this information out about the falls client in the event of finding a client on the floor. If you feel like there's something we didn't cover, please reach out to us and let us know. Connor's good. Caitlin, are you good? Did you hear us, or was it just a bunch of Snoopy?
Try to bring.
Probably no Snoopy.
You just aged us just now.
Is there anything else you need to talk about, want to talk about? Okay, I think that's it.
You're all awesome. We appreciate you.
Thank you guys for
Thank
everything you do.
you.
Stay tuned for Friday's drawing. If you haven't been seeing those, go watch them. We'll see you guys later. Thank you for all you do.
It is. And you got it. That's exciting.
Like every third word.
Oh, good.